Good morning. Our headlines for you today. Households owe energy suppliers more money than ever before as bills are set to skyrocket in October.
£1.3 billion, that's how much we collectively owe suppliers, and it's an all-time high. In the next few minutes, we'll learn how much profit E.on is making and ask how that can happen as households struggle. Now, these are for E.on, the energy supplier for 6 million UK households, many more around the world. In the last 6 months, they tell us they made £3.47 billion. Now, that is a lot of money. They will say this is a number for our global business. It's a 15% decline in what we make, and we are investing in our future. 300 million of that, roughly, we think is in the UK. Nevertheless, that amount of money will smart with households who heard last week of BP profits as well of £6 billion. We're struggling to pay our bills, and you are making a lot of money. And more people are struggling.
Hosepipe bans and extreme weather warnings as much of England and Wales brace for a heatwave.
Good morning. It certainly is going to turn hotter this week, especially from Thursday to Sunday when the Met Office has an amber extreme heat warning in force. Temperatures could reach 36 or even 37 in some parts of the south.
Let's take a look through this morning's papers and see what's dominating. Kicking off then with The Guardian, which leads with Boris Johnson's assertions that his successor will certainly act to help households over the cost of living, but he's leaving it to them. The Eye reports on Liz Truss softening her position on giving households money directly. The Metro quotes the consumer champion Martin Lewis describing what he calls a zombie government, which he believes is not doing enough to tackle the problem. And the Express is in campaign mode. Their headline, you can see there, "In Liz We Trust." And the Telegraph warns that soaring inflation will drag millions of people into higher income tax bands. While the Sun leads with the trial of former Manchester United star Ryan Giggs, who's accused of controlling and coercive behaviour towards his girlfriend, as well as assault charges that he denies. And the Mirror also has that same story there. Giggs cheated on me with 8 women. And the Times says some universities have withdrawn books with challenging content, that is, from course reading lists. And the Mail tells us that for the first time in recorded history, this is an interesting one, a minority of babies are now born to married couples. And the Star issues a red alert over the upcoming heatwave.
And the majority of them leading with the worsening cost of living crisis. The Metro carries a stark warning issued by the consumer expert Martin Lewis. He says the rising cost of energy will be deadly for some people who are struggling financially. He's demanded what he calls the zombie government to take action.
According to The Guardian, Boris Johnson believes his successor as Prime Minister is certain to provide more assistance with rising costs. The paper suggests his unexpected intervention will put pressure on front-runner Liz Truss, who's been accused by Rishi Sunak of being divorced from reality on financial support.
Meanwhile, the Daily Express has thrown its support behind the Foreign Secretary to be the next Prime Minister. "In Liz We Trust" is their headline.
And many of the papers this morning carry pictures of the tennis star Serena Williams, who has announced plans to retire from the sport. She didn't say it directly, but basically I'm sure that's what she means. She is, quite simply, the most successful singles player in the Open era, with 23 Grand Slam titles to her name. Big interview that she gave to Vogue magazine, saying that she's thinking about what the future is like without tennis, competitive tennis in her life.
And if it's been such a huge part of your life for so long,
as long as she can remember.
Yeah. Amazing picture there, though, as well. Let's have a quick look inside. And we've been talking about how, as COVID restrictions eased, of course, we changed our habits. And we did a lot of things during lockdown that we are now no longer doing, including the craze for DIY and gardening. Yes. So apparently our green fingers and blackened thumbs, it points out, we're not doing any of that now. We spent a lot of time doing it. But it also looks at things that we spent maybe sleeping in, having a line. Perhaps if you were working from home, you gain a bit of extra time. Streaming videos and movies, that down by 34 minutes on average.
Wow.
Fewer books, we're reading a lot less. But good news, we're exercising more, apparently.
Some of us are.
Some of
us aren't.
We'll get back into it.
Yeah. Thank you for the motivational pep talk, Ben.
That's what you need to be doing.